Creating an OC is fun and games until you want them to be more memorable and unique to your work. I searched a lot for this video and I brought some tips you might want to know about when creating your own original character. Without further ado, let's start the video, but first, intro time. I want to clarify that I'm not a professional writer or anything. I'm just a guy on the internet that you decided to listen yapping about his interests. The first thing you must know is the basic of the character. You must know about the specific character you're trying to make. You should think about what arc the character should represent. There are 3 arcs that are important to talk about. The first one is when the character sees the error of their way and becomes a better themselves. The second type is when their way of thinking isn't changed at all. They still act the same way and still all have the same moral compass as before. The third way is when they end up worse than when they started. Embracing a dumb little example for you guys. They wanted to keep their relationship together, but due to the arc of the story, the person lost it all because they wanted to force their relationship together. Their wants and needs are also important to know and well adjust. Many people have layers and layers upon themselves, like an onion, for example. One creates the plot and drives the character to act, while the need is the thing they get most commonly and what they should get from the story. The want is a more physical and personalized thing, but the need has some kind of universal language, which means that the character's ending can mean to everyone who reads or sees your character. There should be a meaning or a lesson behind the whole story, you know. Why do they get what they got? I recommend creating a character profile to your character to well understand and develop their character. There you could give your characters different traits. You might believe that a perfect character would be amazing, but you're wrong. A character must have some negative traits in themselves, or not a perfect body, for example. Generating a picture-perfect character, also called Mary Sue, is super boring and isn't unique at all. The characters should have a lot of unique things like body shapes, different skin tones, wants, desires, fears. Maybe they don't like cap, or maybe their first language is not English, so they have an accent or sometimes misspell some things, etc. There are many people in the world, and diversity is very important when you create a character. Because usually you want to make a character who you can root for or you can see them as yourself. And if they are perfect, then you just can't compare yourself to them because nobody's perfect. This is the place where your creativity takes place the fullest. Also, something important is that your character's personalities should be different. I'm not saying that they can share the same traits as other people, like 2 characters can be jerks. The world is full of those. You don't want to make the same cardboard cut of a character from each and every one of them, do you? If it's relevant to your story, you can tell their best too. It's better to wait for those details to give out if they are relevant to the plot and time, meaning you don't just throw out a useless detail or something when no one asked. But know the right time to show it. Do not tell, you know. Now that I'm talking about showing, It's also much more fun and professional if you show things and not just tell them. Or rather than just focusing on words, maybe you should show them arguing a little bit, or to, I don't know, just make them talk about their father for a third person, for example, that they don't like this certain thing about their father. I don't know, be creative. Person's past can tell a lot about them, and it can make it more enjoyable and understandable why they act like they do. If they weren't hugged by their parents in their whole life when they were a little kid, then maybe they dislike touch by other people. It can also affect and show what and how their moral code was shaped. If something big changes in our lives or something happens, then it can change a person's mindset in a good and in a bad way around. Or maybe they wanted to have the whole time, but in different ways than the protagonist, and failed to realize the error of their thinking. It's really up to you to work this out. It's important step if it works in the story and in the timeline. If you're enjoying the video so far, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe. YouTube shows me that most of you people aren't subscribed, so get on board with it. But for the love of God, please don't make them too edgy. And now it's fun to make a character who the whole world hates and every bad thing happens to them. But it isn't lifelike. And it just gives away all the likability behind your characters. Many characters have tropes, but it's important to get out of them sometimes. A character can be a comedic relief, while also having some depth in their character or their characteristics. So don't generalize the characters that much, because people have many layers in them, as I said earlier, and they don't just act one way or another. They have a complex understanding and knowledge of the things that happens to them, and it's not realistic if they only act in one way or another. Human nature is totally like this. If pushed too far, or something is behind these things, then they can cause the person to act differently and irrationally than they usually do. Major spoilers for Avatar, Legends of Eggs. So if you don't want me to spoil you the end, then please skip to this timeline. Look at Azula from Avatar. She is a calculated, smart and powerful woman who is almost impossible to get rid of and unbreakable. But in Agni Kai, she became a crazy lunatic person due to the pressure of her father, which made her lose the match that she could have easily won if it weren't for her mental health. And also, if your character is in the box of their tropes, they can get boring pretty quickly. The love interest only talks about the protagonist can get very dry. They need more interest and purpose in their life, other than the crush. These were all the things that I wanted to list up. I hope I entertained you guys and gave out some knowledge to you guys. I try to make different type of video right here to understand myself better, what content I enjoy making, and I hope you all liked it. I was Golden Mind, and I see you guys in the next one.